I don't want to explain this. 21. No! No! Okay, today I'll talk about our temperamental and slightly terrifying tiny Tenebrion, number 21, the newest character added in the upcoming Inscription of Labyrinth update. And if you don't want to miss future PGR guides and videos, don't forget to subscribe. And I also stream weekly on my Twitch at twitch.tv/spider2b. And if I make any corrections or forget to mention something, it'll be a pinned comment down below. Alright, we got a lot to cover, so let's go. Number 21 is a base A-rank tank construct that deals dark damage and features dark resist shred, slight crowd control, survivability, and a laugh that you can hear in your sleep. And in this video, I'll cover her skills, passives, ascensions, playstyle, weapons, builds, team synergies, and my poll and build recommendations. And timestamps will be provided for each topic. So some of these descriptions are about to make me take some prescriptions, so I'll try to break down her kit the best that I can and give some TLDRs at the end, but sorry in advance. So I want to cover 21's core passive first, since it revolves around her entire kit. The first part of her core passive is her prism pillar mechanic. It's indicated by the prism charges at the bottom of the screen, and each basic attack, whether it hits a target or not, will fill one charge for a maximum of 4. And the 5th attack will stagger enemies, deal AoE dark damage, and deploy a pillar that can last for 3 seconds. And note that this 5th attack doesn't count as a basic attack, so it won't add to the charges. The pillar itself grants some ultimate energy and refunds some dodge gauge. And there's also a small robot that follows 21, and it will interact with the pillar and destroy it to deal some dark damage. The second part of her core passive is the forced dodge attack. Basically, when 21 is staggered by an enemy attack, knockdown, or self-stagger, she can break out of the attack by dodging, expending about a fourth of the dodge gauge to deploy a pillar, while also granting 15% of her HP as a shield. TLDR, basic attack or dodge attack to get a pillar, and then pillar goes boom. As for her orb abilities, her red orb is her crowd control ability. It drops a triangle field on an enemy, pulling and keeping them in for its duration, while dealing physical damage. And if it's a 3 orb or matrix ping, it will deal dark damage instead. Performing her core passive dodge attack right after a 3 orb or matrix ping will deploy 3 pillars instead of 1, and the dodge window is small, so make sure you do it right after pinging the orbs. The bot itself will make the pillars pull in enemies, dealing additional dark damage. And this is also her swap in attack. Her yellow orb is another crowd control ability that also does pretty good damage. 21 lets it rip, spinning a big Beyblade onto a target enemy, staggering them for 3 seconds and dealing physical damage. And if it's a 3 orb or matrix ping, it will deal dark damage instead. And again, performing her core passive dodge attack right after the 3 orb or matrix ping will deploy 3 pillars instead of 1. As for her blue orb, it's kind of special in that the damage doesn't matter as much for this ability, as it essentially copies the next basic and 5th core passive attacks depending on the amount of blue orbs you pinged, and you can tell it's recording the attacks by the glowing effect around 21. So for example, if you pinged 2 blue orbs, you can clone 2 attacks, and 3 orb or matrix blue pings will let you clone 4 attacks. And note that the blue orb also gives you 2 prism charges for the gauge instead of 1 like the basic attacks do, but the pillars created by this only adds dark damage and doesn't grant additional energy refund or dodge gauge. When used in tandem with other abilities, different combos can be made, which I'll cover in the playstyle section of the video. And the bot that falls around 21 rushes at an enemy, spinning and dealing physical damage to it while reducing the enemy's attack for a brief period. Essentially, her blue orbs copy her basic attacks and her 5th core passive attacks. As for her ultimate or signature move, also known as How I Get Carpal Tunnel Outside of Osu, basically 21 becomes invincible and drops a big triangle on an enemy, and all of her orbs become unlimited blue orbs. And 21 can spam basic attacks or spend blue orbs in this state to create as many pillars as possible for a certain period before the field explodes, dealing dark damage in an AoE. And each pillar will increase the rating of the ultimate up to S with 6 pillars, increasing its damage. And the optimal combo is blue orb and then basic attack twice to fill the prism's gauge and then repeat. As for her basic attacks, she fires ranged beams that deal physical damage, and the bot deals physical damage alongside the active character. The basic attack damage isn't really relevant and is mainly used to build stacks. The bot, however, always stays on field, so it can constantly refresh this tank class skill and generate orbs for 21. Her QTE is basically her red orb with her core passive dodge attack. It drops 3 pillars in a large AoE, dealing dark damage and gathering enemies. As for her leader passive, the team gets increased dodge meter and 5% increased damage. And quickly running through her ascensions, at S rank she can level up her tank class skill, at SS she gets increased damage when she's shielded and takes less damage when she's not, and 3 orb and matrix blues will fill 4 charges instead of filling 2 charges, and at SS the pillars give increased dodge and damage reduction to all allies inside the field, and red orb, ultimate and QTE now has dark resist shred. And at SSS+, the S rating ultimate will increase the damage even further, and the bot gives all allies on field a shield based on 21's HP. And for most people, SSS is the ideal stopping point for the Dark Shred, SSS+ if you plan to use her in a more damage dealer position. And as for builds, for her 5-star memories, you can run 4-piece Ike and 2-piece Gloria in the early game, and 21 has 2 primary 6-star memory builds depending on her playstyle. The meta and recommended one is the 4-piece Bathalon on the bottom row and 2-piece Einstein on the top row. It allows 21 to do some damage as well as support dark DPSs like Luna or Astro with the Dark Shred. 4-piece Da Vinci and 2-piece Einstein is also an option for QTE bot 21, for example if you have a DPS Vera. In this case, you can just level 21's tank class skill in QTE. And as for Resonance, attack on the top row and tank class skill in the bottom row, and you can choose to hypertune the bottom row only if you plan to use her actively as a DPS. And as for weapons, for the 4-star weapon, it's actually okay if you plan to never swap into her and use her purely as a QTE bot. But of course, her 5-star weapon will be better if you plan on doing decent damage with her, and her signature weapon is not needed for most people, but if you plan on actually doing good damage on her, it's something to consider. And as for 6-star weapon resonance, prioritize Tenebrion Shock, Resonant Echo, and Matrix Lightning. And as for the team setup, for Warzone and Pancake, generally 21 is placed where Tenebrion would be. So for Luna teams, Vera will be on blue, holding 4-piece Da Vinci and 2-piece Guinevere, Luna's on red, running her 4 Flamel, 2 Darwin, and 21 will be on yellow, running 4-piece Bathalon and 2-piece Einstein. And here, you'll run Luna as leader and Vera as starter. And you can also have 21 hold the 4-piece Da Vinci and 2-piece Einstein instead if your Vera has a Bathalon set already on her for DPS. And as for Astro teams, just swap Luna to Astro on red, and Vera will be holding 2-piece Guinevere, 2-piece Gloria, and 2-piece Lantern, while 21 will hold the 4-piece Da Vinci and 2-piece Einstein. And the Astro will have his 4-piece Bathalon set with either Darwin or Cotty, and you'll have Astro as the leader, and Vera as the starter. And as for playstyle rotation, compared to Luna, unfortunately 21's damage is lackluster and backloaded, meaning that she cannot burst up front, and for the most part, Luna will still want to hog most of the field time, while 21 remains the QTE bot, meta-wise. Although, if Luna is straight out of Orbs, you can choose to swap into a highly invested 21 to take the field. Remember, you can also dodge attack on swap in. And your goal is to get as many pillars as possible to stack the dark damage and energy refund. So always dodge right after red or yellow 3-orb matrix ping for the additional pillars. Some of the dodge gauges are refunded for each pillar anyways, so it's worth doing. And as for the blue orb combos, one combo is after 4 charges, you can use a blue orb next, and the 5th attack will drop 2 pillars instead of 1. And another combo is after 4 charges, you use a 3-orb or matrix blue ping, and the 5th basic attack will once again drop the 2 pillars, and basic attacking afterwards twice will drop another 2 pillars. And basically, these blue orb combos can give you a lot of burst in a short period of time. And 3-orb or matrix red and yellow orbs with the core passive dodge will give the 3 pillars, so if you weave that alongside this combo, it can spawn up to 5 pillars at a time. And note that SS gets full charges after 3-orb or matrix blue ping, so you can help get to the 5th basic attack even faster. But I'm be real chief, orb RNG might be the only thing worse than these long ability descriptions, so your mileage may vary, and you'll probably just end up spamming orbs in actual combat anyways. For the ult, I can just hit the blue orb once in a while and spam the basic attack, and it usually nets me an S rating at the cost of my arm wanting to die. So the super simplified 21 playstyle is to spam buttons or just stay on Luna and avoid this entirely. And as for my poll and build recommendations, I already know some people are going to compare number 21 to Call Me Tenebrion, our resident dark tank, and if you already own him, number 21 is not an upgrade and it's okay to skip her if you're low on resources. Ultimately, 21 is a base A rank and her damage is just not super noteworthy, nor does she do a better job at Dark Shred than Tenebrion due to his QTE multi-hit for Bathalon. If you don't own Tenebrion, 21 is great to fill the vacant dark slot for a dark team. Just make sure to pull first with the blue tickets and then get the 30 free shards from the event shop for S rank if you do plan to get her. But just because she's a downgrade to Tenebrion doesn't mean that she's useless for people who do have him. Her core passive dodge attack is nice for difficult endurance game modes like Babel, where time and damage isn't really an issue, but staggers or knockdowns can mean death. And overall, 21 has nice survivability with the way her kit is designed, so you can consider building her and using her just for that. And if there's any updates or corrections, I'll leave a pinned comment down below. If you have any questions, drop in the comments or ask our community Discord at discord.io/automata, and I'll try to spawn if I'm not busy. Subscribe so you don't miss future guides and videos, and if you find this video informative, drop a like. A dislike if you didn't. I stream weekly or bi-weekly on my Twitch at twitch.tv/SpiderTV, so drop a follow if you want your questions answered live or just want to see me mold. With all the details I want to cover, unfortunately these quick guides are becoming very long guides, so if you guys don't see me upload for a while, it's because I'm recovering from this video or I'm just busy with uni and work. Either way, my brain and arm are in pain. And thanks for watching all the way to the end, and peace late.